Hello, everyone, and welcome to our AWS series. Today, we're going to talk about Amazon's another very popular service, and that was one of the very initial service that was offered by Amazon, and that is Amazon's S3, which is Amazon's simple storage service, or you can just call it S3 in short. So, Amazon Simple Storage Service or S3 is a storage for the internet. As simple as that. Just think of. It is designed to make web scale computing very easier. S3 with the S3, it provides a very simple UI or web server interface that can be used. With the help of that interface, you can store and retrieve any amount of data at any time from anywhere on the web. That's the beauty. Most important thing, it gives access to the same highly scalable, reliable, all the things that we can talk about Amazon's infrastructure that runs. Uh, Basically, Amazon S3, like as we discussed, is a storage for the internet. So what kind of storage? So Amazon S3 stores data as objects. So think of Amazon S3 as the object store, basically. Object is nothing but just think of a file with some data metadata that describes that file in detail. Another thing, the object store, you cannot just go ahead and simply create a file system on the S3 and think that you can install an operating system. You can pretty much upload any kind of data, a JPEG file, video, audio, text file, any kind of documents or anything. To store an object, now we just discussed about the object. So to store an object in Amazon S3, you can simply upload the file you want to store to a bucket. So think of bucket as a directory or a container where you're going to upload or you're going to keep your all the objects that you are uploading to the S3. And these bucket names are unique to the Amazon's infrastructure. So when you are creating an bucket, you need to make sure the name that you are supplying, it's unique. If it's not, you will get to see an error. Will give you a warning that will not create. You can have one or more buckets, as many as you want. For each bucket, you can control access to the bucket, basically who can create new bucket, who can delete, or who can even list the objects inside the bucket. You can even look the access logs for the bucket and its object and some of the other things. And as you can see on the documentation, there is a very good information out there. So as we just discussed, Amazon S3 is easy to use object storage. That gives you a nice GUI. Again, there is no minimum fee and no setup cost. So with the S3, there are different classes or the services that Amazon's offers you. We can call them S3 storage class or tiers. So there is a S3. Just think of it like our standard S3. When we say S3, this is our S3, which is highly durable, immediately available, and it's frequently accessed. Any data that you want to access frequently, it's best suited for S3. So as it talks about, Amazon S3 offers a range of storage class designed for different use cases, including Amazon S3 standard or general purpose storage of frequently accessed data. When we say frequently accessed data, we are talking about our S3 or S3 standard service. There is another type of storage on the S3 is your S3 standard infrequent access or IA. So again, IA is also same kind of durability, immediate availability, but you would go ahead and store some data which is infrequently accessed. But when you want this data, it's immediately available to you. So you don't have to wait for some time. It's immediately available for you there. Like as it says, IA for long-lived but less frequent access data. There is another type of Amazon S3, which is S3 reduced storage, reduced redundancy storage, basically. So it's a similar S3, same kind of durability, but you would go ahead and store, but it's not as highly reliable as some of the other services like S3 standard or S3 IA, infrequent access. You can make use of the reduced redundancy storage. You would go ahead and store such a data that you think it's important, but If you lose, it's not something you're going to cry. It's easily creatable, or you can get that data easily. Let's take an example of you go to a lot of websites and where you can upload images, and there are always thumbnails created. So you can store that kind of data into the reduce redundancy storage. In case you lose thumbnails, you can go ahead and regenerate them. So that's the another type of the class or tiers supplied by or supported by Amazon S3. There is another service which is Amazon's Glacier. So as it says, for long-term archival. So basically, just think of like a archive data, the old stuff we used to do, like tapes and other, where you can just you can just store your data as much as you want, but it's not immediately available. That's the catch. So if you want to access your data, you could have to wait for a couple of hours. Some of the documentation says 3 to 5 hours or so. Yeah, but you would use the Glacier where you just want to store your data or archive your data, which is not so frequently accessed, but it's again very highly reliable. So you can go ahead and make use of the Amazon's Glacier, another type of the storage which is offered by Amazon. There are a few other things. Amazon S3 also offers a configurable lifecycle policies for managing your data throughout its lifecycle. So when we talk about the lifecycle, you can configure the lifecycle. We'll go through the demo. You can initial upload your data to S3, and let's say if the data is not used for 30 days, you can move that data to maybe under your S3 infrequent access storage, or if you think it's not very critical, probably you can plan to move that under your reduced redundancy storage. Then after that, you can define, okay, if it's not even used from infrequently access for, let's say, 90 days or for 6 months or a year, move that data to the archival, that is the Glacier. So we can go ahead and configure that kind of life cycle, which is offered by again Amazon's S3. Uh, Again, S3 can be used alone, so you can just simply use it for your storage stuff, or you can use it with your existing some of the services that we have seen in past, like EC2, IAM, some of the other things like data migration, and some of the other things. Amazon S3 provides cost-effective object storage for a wide variety of use cases, simply for your backup and recovery. Big data analytics, so you can upload your data and run the analytics and maybe store the results there, and many more things. So you can go back to Amazon's S3 documentation and look some more details. Let's look some other things. Some of the benefits. Durable, again, as we discussed, is very high level, highly available and durable. You can see up to 11 nines. Your data is redundantly stored across multiple facilities and multiple devices in each facility. Again, it's very low cost. So S3 allows you to store a large amount of data at very low cost. Again, it's available. S3 standard is designed for up to like 99 point, probably 11 nines. You will find some document of objects over a given year. It's again, it's very secure. So S3 support data transfer over SSL and automatic encryption of your data once it is uploaded. Again, once you create your bucket or directories, you can configure permissions on per bucket level or maybe per object level. Again, we discussed it's scalable. You can configure the notification services, or like as it says, Amazon S3 can send even notifications. A notification somebody uploads a object to your bucket or deletes or that kind of things. You can configure an S3 notification. It's highly perform. There is a pretty high performance with the S3. Amazon S3 supports multi-part uploads to help maximize network throughput and resiliency, and lets you choose the AWS regions to store your data closer to the end user at lower latency. You can integrate S3 with the Amazon CloudFront. We'll talk that out in a different time. Again, it's highly integrated. As we discussed, you can use with the EC2, CloudFront, the EBS, and some of the other things. And the most important thing, it's pretty easy to use. It has a very nice web UI. You can use the APIs. You can use SDK. You can do some REST-based API calls. So hopefully you got a good idea about the Amazon's offering around the S3, which is Amazon's simple storage services. So you get the idea of S3, simple storage and service. And just remember there are different tiers they are offering. S3 standard, S3 AIA, reduced redundancy, which is not listed here, and then there is a glacier. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump to our log into our Amazon Management Console. And I have logged onto the Amazon Management Console here. And under storage and content delivery, we have S3, which says scalable storage in the cloud. So just simply go ahead and click on S3 here. And you can see right now in the global region here. Okay, and as you can see, I don't have any buckets. So it says, welcome to Amazon Simple Storage Service. Let's go ahead and create, and then you can add some stuff, and then later on you can manage some stuff with your bucket. You can just pay attention here. You can read, write, and delete objects ranging in size from 1 byte to 5 terabyte each. So the maximum object that you can upload as of right now is a 5 terabyte each, but you can have multiple objects of 5 terabytes. So now let's just simply go ahead and click on create bucket. And I'm going to call it AWS S3 demo 1. And let's go ahead and click it under, okay, maybe North California. So I'm creating a bucket by name AWS S3 demo 1, and just simply go ahead and click create here. And as you can see, our first our bucket is this is our bucket, and it says there are all buckets. There's one bucket, and there are different things. You can click none, properties, transfer. If you want to transfer, let's go back to the properties. There are different properties for this bucket. This is the bucket. Again, name, you can see the reason, creation date, and you can see the owner. What is the permission on this one right now? Grantees only this particular user. If you want to make it public, you can go ahead and add permission, or you can just simply go to the edit. I'm sorry, you can click on action, and you can make it public. We need to upload some stuff. So let's go back to our all buckets, and let's go back to properties. You can do static website hosting. If you want to host some static pages, you can use your S3 bucket to host your static pages. You can enable logging, events. Again, you can integrate with SNS or SQS or some of the Lambda function. You can do programming stuff. Versioning, we'll talk about it a little later time, but you can enable versioning. Just keep something in mind. Once versioning is enabled, you cannot disable. The only thing you can do is just suspend the versioning. We'll talk that a little later. We just talked about the life cycle earlier. We can enable the life cycle. We'll do a demo on that one. We can enable a cross-region replication. If you want to create a copy of your stuff, we can enable that one. Tags, we can assign again tags that we have been doing earlier. The requester page, this is a pretty good option. Your bucket publicly available and you don't want to get charged, you can enable this one and say, hey, when somebody requesting my stuff, probably let's say you're hosting something public, probably you can ask them to pay instead of you paying. So now let's go to our AWS S3 demo, and let's go ahead and upload some stuff to our bucket or container you can think of. So let's go to upload. It's pretty easy interface. Let's go ahead and click on add files, and I'm going to go ahead and select one of the file here. Once a file is selected, just simply go ahead and click on start upload. And as you can say, it's starting an upload here. Give it a few seconds. Okay, and you can see the upload is done. This is our file. Go ahead and click on this file, and you can click on the properties. So these are the properties of this file. If you want to access this particular file, here is the link. Just try clicking on this link, and let's open in the new tab here. And as you can see right now, it's not allowed. Access is denied. So we cannot access our newly uploaded object. And the reason, you can look here, the permission, it's not publicly available right now. There are some details. So as you can see, the storage class that we are using right now is standard, which is our S3 standard. You can change the storage class to standard infrequent access or reduce redundancy. Glacier is not listed here because that's for archival. We'll see that later in a different demo. Even you can enable server-side encryption if you want to encrypt your data. So you can enable AES 256 encryption on that one. So I'm not changing that for the time being. Let's go back to the permissions. And before we add permissions, let's go and see on the metadata. These are the metadata. It is the content type is images. You can add different metadata. You can remove. I'm not going to. So let's go back to the permissions and let's go ahead and add a permission. We can add a permission from here, or we can go under actions and we can just say simply make public. So I'll show you when we hit the make public what happens. It says this page. Are you sure you want to make this public, this particular object? We'll just go ahead and click here. Okay, and it's done. Go back to the properties, and you can set a permission. We have added another permission for saying everyone, and we are saying open and download. Now let's go ahead and share our URL, and let's go over here. It started to load, and this image is already from our S3, and this is our bucket name here. So hopefully you get the idea, guys. Now let's go back and let's click on our bucket here. And these are the properties for our bucket. So let me go ahead and create a text file here quickly. Uh, version 1, I'm just creating a text file here. Okay, and I created a test file, and there's not much data into that one. It says only version 1. There are some stuff into that one, so I'm going to go save this file, and now let's go ahead and upload this file. And let's go ahead and upload our test file. And as you can see, this is our test file that I just uploaded. Properties, go ahead and click that one. It's not, we cannot access. Let's go ahead and make the change. Click on add permission and just simply say everyone. And then simply go ahead and click save. And once it's done, and you have our text file. Now let's go back to our bucket and under bucket, these are the permissions for our bucket, guys. Let's go ahead and enable the versioning. I'll do that like 2 seconds. So what it says, observe, return and read of every object stored in this extension to everyone pretty much. This provides an additional level of protection by providing a means of recovering from errors or exploits. Versioning and bucket store all version of your object by default. We can, you can use Lifecycle and all version of your object as well as their associated cost. We can enable rules to automatically archive objects for storage or different class. Important thing, once enabled, versioning cannot be disabled, only suspended, okay? So now let's go ahead and before I do this, let me just show you something pretty quick. Before we enable versioning, let's go to the life cycle, guys, okay? So under lifecycle, it says you can manage the lifecycle of objects by using lifecycle rules. Rules enables you to automatically transition objects to standard infrequent access class, or maybe to glacier storage class, or maybe remove objects after a specified time period. So what it says, versioning is not currently enabled on this bucket. So I'll show you the difference difference once you have versioning enabled and when it's not enabled on the lifecycle rule. So just go ahead and simply click on add rule here. Okay, and under the rule, you can apply this rule to the whole bucket, or even you can apply to some subfolders within this particular bucket. So right now we'll just go ahead and test this one on the our whole bucket. So just simply go ahead and click on configure rule. And as you can see, lifecycle rule will help you manage your storage cost by controlling the life cycle of your object. So as you can see, action on objects. So let's go back to actions on objects. So transition to standard infrequent class. So what is doing, so when we are uploading an object, so let's say we just uploaded an object on today's date when I'm recording this. After 30 days, you can say that it says rule transition to standard infrequent access. So after exactly after 30 days, we will move the object to a different storage class, in this case, which is standard infrequent access. Okay. We can do further treatment on these objects. So you can say archive to glacier storage. So what that means, once we have moved after 30 days stuff to the standard infrequent access, and then we decide, okay, it's not being getting used that much, probably we can move now this object to a glacier storage class. We want to archive that. So that's going to happen after 60 days. So guys, this is from the date when we uploaded the object. And if these 30 days, we are talking like 90 days. So this 60 days are always from the object uploaded. So once we upload an object, after 60 days, we will move this object to storage glacier, pretty much. Or we can even do permanently delete. So as it says by default for 25 days. Again, you can change depending on your need. Action on incomplete multi-part upload. If something is didn't get uploaded completely, you can go ahead and that. So hopefully you get the idea of the lifecycle manager. Again, you can change this. I would encourage you to play around with all of these settings. So just pay attention. I'm not reading any rule here right now, so I'll just go ahead and simply click create cancel. Now let's go back to our versioning control, guys. As we said earlier, versioning once enabled, we cannot disable the versioning and only suspended. So this is some pretty critical when you are designing some solution, and especially when you are trying to store larger files, gigabyte files, or maybe your large files and all. Once you enable the versioning every time you upload a project, it always preserves your existing version. That means you are consuming a lot more storage. So I will show you something that. So go ahead and click on enable versioning here, and it gives you again a standard warning pop-up message saying versioning enabled bucket store all version of your objects by default. You can control the cost, using lifecycle pretty much just we saw, and it says you want to do that. So I will go ahead and click on enable. So once you do that, let me just show you something. Okay, it says the versioning is currently enabled on this bucket. We can suspend only. So now let's go back to our text file here. Give it a few minutes. Let's go back to all buckets here quickly. And now let's go back to the. Okay, I just want to show you now. You see there are two extra buttons. You can call them whatever you like. Versions. Right now it's hidden. You can go ahead and click on show. So now you're seeing like a kind of tree form where it shows the different versions of the files that we uploaded right now. So we uploaded a test file, and this is the date and all. So now let's go ahead and do it hide. And let me go ahead and make some change to our file, and I'll call it version 2. Just go ahead and simply save our file, and let's go ahead and re-upload this file. Add files. I'll go ahead and upload. I'll selected our text file again, and we'll start upload. And it's done. So now let's go back to the properties. And now if you remember earlier, we had like 9 bytes, now it's 22 bytes. Go ahead and click on show here, guys. And it took a while. I had to refresh manually here. But now you can see that this was our initial version when we uploaded. That was of 9 bytes. And we re-uploaded the same file. Now that is 22 bytes. This is our version ID. So you get the idea. Every time when you upload a different version, it always keeps your the existing version also. So that means it consumes this much of total size. So as we said, if you are designing some large scale solution where the file size or your object size are going to be pretty large, pay attention, it's going to consume that much of storage. So see, if you really need versioning for certain thing, only go ahead and enable that. But the good thing, let's say now we don't want version 1. So I can just simply go ahead and, if you want certain version, as we said, you can go ahead and download. If you want to delete some version, you can just simply, let's say I don't want the version 2 in my bucket, I can go ahead and simply do a delete here. So it says, are you sure you want to permanently delete? I will say, okay. So once that is done, and give me a second here. We can go ahead and re-upload our version 2 one more time. I'll show you some other things pretty quick. And let's go ahead and upload that. Once that is done, let's change to none. And if this is our another version, we can just simply go ahead and delete this one. Sometimes we don't want to download this file, so I can go ahead and simply, we can look for some properties here. The same thing about this particular file, some metadata and other things. Now let's go back. I just wanted to show you guys something pretty unique. And now let's go back and do it. No, we don't want to download them. Let's go back and then hide here. And let's go ahead and delete. Are you sure want to delete this test file? And we'll go ahead and say delete. Now we don't see that file anymore here. But now if you go under the show here, and let me just do a quick refresh here, guys. That you see that your test file still exists in within your version control. And you can see your version 1. Here is a version 2. And this is the file that when we deleted this one. So this is the delete marker basically. It says, okay, hey, this is the version ID when we deleted this. If you want to restore your file, let's say by a mistake or by accident you delete this file, if you want to restore, just simply go to delete marker, right click on the delete marker and delete. So that means we are deleting the delete marker, or basically we are restoring this file. So just go ahead and simply, right now if you go under hide, like if you go under a normal bucket, you don't see that your test file. Go back to the show, click on the delete marker, go ahead and simply click delete. Where it says, are you sure want to permanently delete this one that we are talking about marker? I'll just simply go ahead and click OK. Let's go ahead and refresh that. There is nothing, but if you go under hide, here we go. We have our file back. So well, you get the idea. And the versioning is very powerful, but at the same time, it consumes a lot of space if you are uploading large objects. And hopefully you get the idea behind the versioning. Now let's go back to our AWS, our bucket again, guys, here. So let me go to our bucket and go back to the properties here. Now let's go back to the life cycle one more time here. And I'll show you the difference here because it says right now the versioning is currently enabled on this bucket. So go ahead and click on add rule here. Same thing, we are applying on our main bucket. Now, within the lifecycle rule, we are presented with two options. One says action on current version, and one says action on previous version. So now, with the versioning, you can do different treatment with your current version of data versus the previous version of data. So hopefully you get the idea. If you don't want to keep the previous versions after a certain date, you can do a different treatment versus the current version. And rest of the things are same. So hopefully you get the idea. I encourage you guys to go ahead and play around with these settings. Now let's go back and look at the cross region replication. So what it says, cross region replication replicates every future upload. So guys, pay attention, it's every future upload. That means whatever inside is this bucket, it's not going to get replicated, only the new objects. In this bucket to another bucket. So basically, cross region replication is designed for use in conjunction with versioning. So that means you need to have versioning enabled to really make use of this feature. You will be required to enable versioning on this bucket and the target bucket. So you need to uh, make sure the versioning is enabled. You can have an existing bucket in different region, or we, for this purpose, we'll go ahead and create one. So we'll go ahead and enable cross region replication here, and just the source is this particular bucket, and destination region will go ahead and configure. Let's say call it US standard maybe. We'll create a new bucket, give it a name, guys here. So we'll call it AWS S3 demo 2. Hopefully versioning will be automatically enabled. If it's not there and it says a bucket is again in a container that we saw, and let's go ahead and simply create this one. Done. Destination storage class, again, we can choose different storage class for our application. Default is again an S3 standard. We can go to infrequent access or reduce redundancy storage. For this, let's go ahead and use the S3 standard infrequent access. We need to create an IAM role. A destination bucket must be selected before creating an IAM role, which we did. And let's just simply go ahead and create an IAM role. Hopefully you guys recall from some of the previous exercise. So what this is doing, S3 is requesting permission to replicate resources in your account. So basically we click allow to give S3 replication access to resources in your account. So what is this is going to do? It's going to create a new IAM role. This is the role name, and you can look at the policy document. And what it can do, we are saying S3 replication configuration. Okay, list bucket. We are allowing access to AWS S3 demo bucket. We are getting some version stuff and all. This is the bucket one, and then we are saying okay, we want to replicate it, and we are allowing it to AWS S3 demo two. So hopefully you get the idea. Just simply go ahead and click allow here. So the role was created, then everything is done, and you can see a role listed here. Just simply go ahead and click on save here. You can see it says cross region replication is currently enabled on this bucket. Okay, it looks good. We saved. Now let's go back and to all your buckets. If you click on the now, let's go back. Give it a few seconds, guys. It's taking a little while. Let's click the next thing one more time here. And as you can see that two of our buckets here, demo one, that was the one we initially created. Now we have our demo two. You can click on demo one, and you get to see the properties again, and you can see the cross versioning enabled here. And this is to the demo two. Click on your demo two. We are inside now. Let's go back to and let's go to the properties here. And these are the details about this one. And if you look under the permissions, these are the same permissions. If you go back to we haven't enabled any logins or anything. So now if you click on the replication, it shows now we can enable replication of this bucket to another new bucket if you want something else. One thing to pay attention, if you see here, Now let's go to, we don't have any objects inside this one right now. So let's go back to the AWS demo one, and I'm just gonna go ahead and delete my this file here. Okay, and let's go ahead and re-upload this one more time quickly. So, or maybe our test file, but we are not the test file. Sorry, guys. Let me get the. Okay, I'm going to upload our cloud computing JPEG one more time. Click on that. It's starting to upload, and right now it's uploading on AWS S3 demo one bucket. And you can see this is done. Just simply. Now let's go back to all buckets and go back to AWS demo 2. And as you can see here, so and you can see the storage class, it says standard infrequent access, and our data was replicated immediately or automatically. We didn't have to do anything. That was because on our AWS demo 1, we had enabled the cross region replication. So hopefully you get the idea, guys, about the this thing. Now let's go ahead and test enable static website hosting. So for that, let me go ahead and create a new file. I'll go ahead and create a new file. I'll call it my static website, and I'm going to go ahead and save it as index.html, and just simply go ahead and click and save. Now let's go to AWS demo 1, and we'll go ahead and upload our. I'm uploading our index.html file, so simply go ahead and click on start upload. It's done pretty quick, and it should be replicated too. So if you want to go to all buckets, let's go and see the all buckets. Okay, so the all buckets. Now let's go back to our AWS demo 2. We will use our AWS demo 2 to host our static websites. Go under properties. Never seen this guys before. Okay. Now let's go under static website hosting. So you can see you can host your static website entirely on S3. Once you enable your bucket for static website hosting, all your content is accessible to web browser via the S3 website endpoint for your bucket. Okay. And this is our endpoint URL. So if I go ahead and click on this URL right now, it's permission denied, blah, blah, and all some of the other things. Each bucket serves a website that will hold, whatever domain. So if you got multiple domains or some stuff, you can use that. You can, how to set up and some of the other things you can walk through right now. Enable website hosting. Uh, Let me just tell you before we do enable, there is a redirect already to a host name. You can configure a canonical name. If you have some kind of domain name, you can configure that, and you will be able to make use of the S3 to serve all of your files and your web content with that particular domain name. So enable website hosting and give it a document. Our index document in this case is index.html. I don't have error file, but I'll still type error.html. We can enable redirection rules and all if we want, but for this we'll keep it simple. So we are just enabling a static website hosting. We are saying our text document is index.html, error document is error.html, and that's all pretty much good. Just go ahead and click simply save. Now let's go back to the URL that we had error earlier. Just try to refresh now. And right now it says okay, access denied and some of the other things. Now let's go back and look at some of the things pretty quick, guys. Here S3 demo, and let's go back to properties here, and we need to let's let's go to permissions tab, add permissions. And with the everyone, we can give them the permission to view and list the content, no upload and delete stuff, no edit permissions. Just simply go ahead and click save here and give it a try one more time here. Okay, index.html looks good. Let's go to demo one, index.html. Looks good, that one too. Let's go back to all buckets. We'll give it a try on our demo one and see what's going on. Before we do that, let's go back and look at the permissions on this particular file. We can add permissions for this file to everyone. Open, download, and view permission. Just go ahead and simply click save. And let's see if we can launch this URL. Okay, looks good. Now let's go back to the AWS, AWS demo one. Go back to properties and go back to static website hosting. Enable static website hosting. Index.html. Just go ahead and simply click save. Once that is done, go ahead and click on the website URL, and you can see that now we can serve our static website from our S3 bucket. Let's go back and see some of more permission. Other things, guys, we can enable logging. We can configure with the events when somebody uploads and some other stuff. You can go ahead and play around. But hopefully you get the idea that you can create multiple buckets. You can enable cross-region replication, versioning, lifecycle. There are different class for the all your objects. Show standard, and you can click on details, and these are different classes. You can move them. You can enable permissions and many more things. So hopefully you got a good idea about Amazon's S3 service, which is the, hopefully you had a good. I'll see you sometime in another lab. Thank you so much and have a good day.